So for those of you who come to the LA County Real Estate Investors Association, I always talk about the real value for me, while the speaker is great, is the vendors. And one of the guys that I've met as a vendor, he was there last month. I had actually met him previously, but because he was there as a vendor, I took the time to look into the company, is Michael Macon from Azibo, which is an online platform for, well, I'll let him describe it. It's an amazing product. I'm looking at it. I actually just recommended it to a client of mine. Michael, what the heck is Azibo?
Azibo is an online software platform that helps especially independent property owners manage their properties and self-manage their properties. So we handle digitally a lot of the tasks that property managers go through: finding new tenants, applications, lease creation, tenant screening, all the way through rent collection, messaging and maintenance. So, submitting maintenance requests from tenants and things like that, all the way through bookkeeping and accounting. And one of our core, kind of our core message is that we're a free platform. So pretty much anything that a property owner would need, all the basics are free for property owners, specifically rent collection. And that's like one of the biggest pain points with digital property management, is that people charge for rent collection, right? Like, how do you collect rent for free? So that's one of our prime offerings. And I think it really helps people kind of get away from, maybe having to use a property manager, especially if you only have a couple of properties and you're kind of close in location. You can really use it to help streamline a lot of that process.
So rent collection is where a lease is made or rent is made. Somebody owes $2,000, $3,000 a month, and then they want to pay the rent. How do they do that? Well, obviously they can drop off a check. That's got to be processed. They can have a auto pay through their bank account, but you will provide a portal for people who want to put on a credit card or debit card, and that normally has charges with it. And so you're able to eliminate those charges to the property owner by charging the tenant?
Yeah, to be clear, we have multiple ways of collecting rent from tenants. And you're right. I think back in the day, a lot of people would just go pick up cash from tenants or get checks. And, that's kind of old school and complicated. We offer several different ways for a renter to pay rent. And they can choose any different way they want. They can switch it up each month. We basically offer them a platform to do all those different things. So we have ways where, renters can deposit cash and that can end up in a property owner's bank account. They can pay with a credit or debit card. And yes, in that case, they do want to pay with a credit or debit card. There is a fee associated to that the renter pays. So the property owner gets to give them a flexible option, but it's no cost to the property owner. They can use Cash App or things like that. And the most important one that we offer for free is just straight bank transfers, right? Tenant can log in. They have their own renter portal. They can link a bank account, and then they can set up either auto pay or do it manually each month. But basically just for free, transfer that money to the renter, to the property owner each month, and just, makes it simple. And then for the property owner, that automatically gets deposited into their bank account, whatever bank account they link, or, we offer an Azibo bank account. So whatever they choose, that'll get deposited right in there as fast as 2 business days, which is kind of one of the fastest free methods in the industry. And then it automatically can get moved into our bookkeeping tool, where you can kind of label it as rent. You can set up automatic rules, so you don't even have to go in each month and label it. Then it flows right into a slew of reports that we have, everything from rent rolls to P&Ls, cash flow statements, balance sheet, ledgers, and Schedule E for taxes. So it's all free and it all works pretty seamlessly, giving renters a bunch of different options and just making things simple for the property owner.
I live in Los Angeles and hear all the time about horror stories and actually on my podcast talk about horror stories for property management. And yet I also come across people who do really well managing property here in Los Angeles. And the thing I've discovered about those who are successful at it, despite the same obstacles that get most people, is they do the fundamentals really, really well. And one of the fundamentals is all the tech and administrative stuff, and another is the relationship with the tenant, right? If you meet them, have a relation with them, you vet them carefully, but you also have to have the fundamentals on the admin side, the screening and the things you're allowed to do. And so it seems to me what you've done is you've taken a lot of the admin and tech stuff and created almost a first-class tool to leave the owner just the part that they have to do, perhaps, which is make the decision or vet the tenants after getting the information. Is that a fair assessment of what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I mean, when you, obviously we can't do the in-person stuff, right? So whether you're out of state, like I'm an out-of-state investor, or an in-state investor, we can actually go to your property. You still have to show the place and things like that. You can use a realtor for that if you're out of state or whatever. But when you actually want to go through and move forward with a tenant, for us, all you have to do is go online, add the property, say you want to accept a new applicant, and we actually give you a link. And that link can either include just the application or the application and the screening. All you have to do is text that to anybody you want. Then the applicants will go in, they'll pay a $40 fee to get screened. But it all just shows up right in your Azibo dashboard. So you see all their information and a nice UI, very clean. You see the report. If you just ask for an application, you'll see their application and all their self-reported information. But if you do then ask for the screening as well, you'll see we use TransUnion. So you'll get very vetted, very private, detailed report with their credit, evictions, kind of anything you can ask for in a screening report. And there's also some things that we will add in the future that will make those screening reports even more robust. So it basically sets, as easy as texting a link, you can get as many applicants as you need, see everything in one place. And then from there, to your point about just making the admin stuff easier, once you want to actually move forward with the tenant, simply click a button and then you're automatically taken to a lease journey where all their information is right there for you. You can add in any customizations you need to the lease. Then our lease can be digitally signed all through Azibo and stored. So, as easy as sending a link can start the entire process. And that's really all you'll need to do. Once the lease is signed, they'll get an invite to their side of the portal. And again, they can go in, pay rent any way they want, pay their security deposit. And then in the future, if there are any invoices for damage or let's say it's a single family house and the tenant's responsible for water, there's a portal for the property owner to simply invoice, again, the tenant through Azibo. You can create a custom invoice, send it right to them, and whatever payment method they have linked, whether it's a credit card, ACH, whatever, they can pay that right through Azibo. And again, that just goes right into your bookkeeping and accounting as well. So yeah, it just really simplifies all the admin stuff for you.
One of the keys, I think, to success in business is make it easy for your customer to say yes. If you're a property manager, make it easy for your tenant to pay you. And rather than acquire some of the other processes I've seen, I'll tell you a story. At my house, I have a gardening service, and the guy, he literally writes a piece of paper, February, March, and the dollar amount. And then a couple of times a year, he does something special, trimming trees or fertilizer, and he writes it out. And it's like, he puts it in the mailbox. Then my wife takes that bill, puts it in my inbox. I've got to look at it, go online and send him a check. Versus you would think he would just send me a link to a PayPal or Zelle or something. Half the time I would just click it without paying attention to it. But once I get the piece of paper, I'm going to look at it. Is that right? Is this fair? You're making it harder for me to pay. I'm going to spend more time avoiding payment by scrutinizing it versus if you make it easy, I think that's half the battle. So same with the tenant screening. So now I know there's a lot of laws now on what you're allowed to screen and not allowed to screen on. What do you offer differences by jurisdiction to keep the owner in compliance, or do you guys tell the owner it's up to you to figure that out, or how does that work?
Yeah, right now we offer one screening product, which is TransUnion Smart Move. And yeah, there are different laws by state. So we definitely don't support all states as well as others. So yeah, in the future, we'll be a little bit more customized to make sure that we can handle that for every state. But for now, there are a little bit of complications between states.
Right.
But I think outside of very few, I think Washington, you're only allowed to charge a certain amount. So, you need the ability for the owner to either take on the fee or to reduce it, things like that. I think New York is similar. So yeah, there are some states where the screening in particular can be a bit more challenging. But again, those are problems that we're working on solving.
But you do allow it here in California?
Yeah.
Man, you guys are brave.
In Ohio, yeah.
Woo, if you can run a business and do it in California, you should be able to do it in most other states, because who's crazier than us? So
yeah, California has very, very specific, unique laws. But I think, again, Azibo isn't the one who's actually running the screening, right? And owning all the compliance, right? We use a third party, TransUnion, who does screen it. Like, that's their core business. So, all the information is collected through them. And that's a big thing for our property owners, right? Like, hey, I don't want to be the one asking for all this like super personal private information and things like that. So once you send them that link, it goes through TransUnion. We don't see any of the data or anything like that. So it's a much more secure experience. than, a landlord having to ask for your social and things like that just to apply for the unit.
What is your most common customer look like? Is it mom and pop one-offs? Do you have multiple because it makes sense to make a decision like this? Or do you have larger companies? What's the profile look like of a customer for Azibo?
Yeah, we really support the range of customers. I mean, just from the nature that there are more smaller landlords, 4 or 5 units, that's very common for us. But we have people on our platform with hundreds of units.
Wow.
You know, property management companies have said like, wow, you guys don't charge for rent. Like we pay hundreds or thousands of dollars a month in rent collection fees. Or one of our competitors actually recently started charging for ACH payments. And that's caused a huge issue for property managers because now when they were used to getting free ACHs, the tenants don't want to pay this fee. They don't want to pay the fee. So, coming over to us as a big landlord can really save a lot of those fees. So even if you do, like I have a property manager for my properties in Ohio and he handles all the stuff on the ground, but I still use Azibo for my personal accounting. Whenever he sends me reports or expenses, I log them in my bookkeeping. Whenever he sends me cash or revenue that he gets from collecting rent, I log it in. So even if you have tons of units and you work with somebody on the ground, or if you're pretty big and you kind of manage the maintenance and stuff yourself, you have a team, you can still use Azibo to collect rent and do all the things that you would do offline, or if you are at that scale, maybe even thinking about building your own software or something like that. So yeah, it really runs the gamut of how big people are on our platform. I mean, yeah, we have people with hundreds of units who use us.
And one of the things I noticed is you offer for renters, hey, if you want to start paying, because I know there was a time my daughter and son-in-law, when they first married, they had a property manager who was pretty big actually, who would only accept checks. And in the past, they had paid via credit card and they paid a fee, but they got reward points. And so to them, they were kind of addicted to the credit card award point game, which, and they were upset that the landlord would only do checks. And because of millennials, like now I'm like a millennial. I don't have a checkbook. When you tell me to write a check, I go to my wife because she has a checkbook and I have to transfer money to her account because I don't write checks. I write one every 5 years or something now. But but this guy wanted a paper check on every single bill. And so you have a thing in your platform where you can invite property owners to look at the program. So I guess if you're watching this and you're in that circumstance, feel free to pass this information on to your landlord. Perhaps you can get them to make your life more convenient as well as help them make their business a little more efficient.
Yeah, I mean, flexibility is key, right? Like every renter might want to pay a different way, right? Like the reward points are super big for people. Paying with cash is really popular, especially when you're dealing with lower income tenants. So obviously we don't send people out to go collect cash and things like that, but we do offer instructions and ways that we've put in our platform to make it easy for people to pay with cash.
Whoa, how they do it?
Yeah, so we use there are ways through Cash App and platforms like Chime that we've integrated into Azibo so that people can deposit cash in any number of places and then just wire that right to their not wire, ACH it right to their property owner's account. So it just solves like a huge pain point I know even for me, when I first started buying property and they all wanted to pay cash and people had to pick it up each month. So
it's a big deal. It's a big problem. I have a property management firm where we have commercial clients who deal in businesses where they deal with cash, and they've been used to for their entire life paying things in cash as a way to get rid of the cash. It may be a tax issue, it may just be a convenience issue, and they want us to continue accepting cash. And now that the owner passed and we're professionally managing it, we don't want the liability. We don't want the criminal risk. LA is getting very dangerous. We don't want to handle the cash. We don't want to lose the cash. We have legal liability that he didn't have because it was his money. It's now us managing for somebody else. How does somebody deposit cash on a Chime app? Is there ATMs that you feed the money in, they gave you a receipt, and the money goes up to your Chime account or something? Or how's that work?
Exactly. So yeah, again, these are not proprietary Azibo products, but we've integrated in and we built the process so that, if you own a property, you can have a renter who pays cash. You can say, hey, look, if you sign up for a Cash App account, we have instructions for you. You can now go to, I think with Cash App, it's like 90,000 stores they have eligible. So you can go to any 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven, Walmart, CVS. I bet some local grocery stores. I mean, there's a whole list. If you go to Azibo and you go into our FAQs and you search cash, it'll link you to the entire list of places. And it really just makes, because like if you have to have cash picked up by the 5th of the month, not only do you need to be available to schedule, for example, you have to schedule with my property manager. He has to be free to come pick it up. If you guys can't coordinate a time by the 5th, technically you're late. Then there's late fees. But a lot of people, especially like in my world of kind of lower income rentals, they're underbanked, right? They don't trust banks. They don't have banks. But these tools like Cash App and Chime and kind of like these, banks, but more mobile friendly kind of, for the younger generation, I guess you could say, a lot of these have a lot of trust, especially Cash App. So if you can offer your tenants a way to pay through Cash App, you can walk them through that process, and then they can easily just, a lot of people don't really understand the differences in sending money, right? So technically it's an ACH from Cash App, but they just think they're sending you a Cash App just like they send their friends and family. And it just makes it really, really easy for them to deposit cash in all these different places, and for you or your property manager to accept it.
Wow. Well, there's a whole broad reason.
Difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And dealing with cash can be dangerous and risky. And so this kind of eliminates some of that. There's still, I guess, risk taking money in, but at least it's a way to deal with it. Okay. Well, look, you've covered quite a bit, Michael. Michael Macon at Azibo. You're also at the LA County Real Estate Investor Association event. At least you guys were a vendor there last month.
Yeah.
I can see you there again. That's on
We'll
the
be there in April.
Very good. The second Thursday of the month at the Iman Center in Culver City, LAREIC.com for directions there. Michael, someone to get a hold with you and learn more about Azibo, AZIBO.com, which is the website. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah. So my email is just my first name, MICHAEL @Azibo.com. Very simple.
Fantastic. A lot of fun. Michael, thanks for your support at the LA County event. Thank you for introducing me. Literally, I've already sent this to a client of mine who does commercial because it's a great product that I wasn't really aware of. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for sending it out. And yeah, I hope you guys can get some use out of it. I know in my personal business, I've used it even outside of being an employee. And yeah, it's really transformed my kind of operation side. So yeah, glad you can find some value in it.
Fantastic. Thanks so much.
Take care.